Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about ShadowDark RPG and ShadowDark RPG's OSR creator, lead on Arcane library, and really emerging OSR king, Kelsey Dionne. And so I have more to say on this, and I think her opportunities go far beyond ShadowDark RPG, and actually very much include a strong, sustainable, long period of leadership, perhaps a decade to a decade and a half, on OSR and converting the OSR into a viable, functional force in the tabletop role-playing game industry, rather than the frayed, disparate collection of scruffy barbarians it is today, right? And I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about the possibilities that Kelsey Dionne represents in creating a real competitor for Dungeons and Dragons, right? Because I think that's one of the things that's really showing right now as we come out of the 2023 OGL crisis, which I'm telling you, there will be books written about that month, right? And what's about to happen, a huge, I really think we're looking at right now with Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, the dawn of not a good movie, not a good franchise, not a good trilogy, not a good franchise, but the Dungeons & Dragons cinematic universe. So we are poised directly between two moments in tabletop role-playing game history. And I want to talk about Kelsey Dionne's pivotal role in the history of tabletop role-playing games and the history of Dungeons and Dragons, right? I need her to succeed so that Dungeons and Dragons can reach higher heights, right? And OSR needs her to succeed so they can do anything, because they've really accomplished virtually nothing to this point in the tabletop role-playing game scene, except to be a defeated opponent of Dungeons and Dragons, right? But I want to take 1 minute and just tell you, I had a friend, probably from like 5-6 years ago, reach out and just shared that they're struggling with this brutally challenging personal issue that I was shocked to hear, and and I immediately scrambled to kind of jump in and help, right? And just I just want to let you know, like, we're coming out of one of the most depressing, brutally challenging periods in tabletop role-playing game history. The 2023 OGL crisis, 2023 Manic Panic was horrific, all right? But I want you to be aware, I struggle on this channel every day to create good content that you're going to be happy with, to say the right thing and not say the wrong thing, and I fail pretty frequently, and I just want to let you know, I think we are seeing some incredibly challenging things in life overall. And what I mean by that is, every single one of us right now, the strains on our culture and our commerce is unprecedented. And I think we're in one of the darkest periods in American history. We're coming out of a plague. We have challenges we never expected to have. There's global, strife, and I want to encourage you and tell you, if you are feeling low, if you're struggling, it's not just you, man. There is just incredible strain coming down on every American today, and my heart goes out for you, and I'm praying for you guys. And if you're feeling it in a low, dark moment, it's not you. It's not just you. We are truly in. I think President Joseph Biden's presidency is turning out to be one of the most horrific periods in American history. It's catastrophic. The right words for it are mild apocalypse. It is so bad, right? So just I'm thinking about you guys. Hang in there. I think there's just a lot of strain on a lot of people right now. So, and thank you for your patience with my channel. I don't always get it right. I know that, right? All right, let's talk about Kelsey Dionne, right? So, what's going on with her, right? And so, first of all, I think let's talk about the success she's had. ShadowDark RPG has an unprecedented number of OSR supporters coalescing and all accepting or championing what she's putting forward in a urgency, a frequency, and a resonance that I have never seen the OSR coalesce, right? And so I think Kelsey Dionne is truly an emerging leader, the emerging leader, not an emerging leader, the emerging leader of the OSR. And this is critical because they are in that Occupy Wall Street moment, right? Like your kumbaya, we don't need a leader thing. That's all nonsense, right? There's always been a clear, identifiable leader of Dungeons and Dragons. It's the case today, right? I really feel Christopher Perkins is the driving force behind Dungeons and Dragons today, and I can walk you through history and point you to the leader at every single period of all 49 years of existence, right, for Dungeons and Dragons. And that is not the case with the OSR, but Kelsey Dionne is emerging as Hollywood ready, okay? An actual producer. She has the right game at the right time, right? And an OSR person who understands that presentation matters. That has never happened before, right? So I had a commenter come on and say, okay, well, presentation does matter, but is what she's doing sustainable? You want to talk about sustainable? Kelsey, that's why I'm talking to you. Kelsey Dionne is far more sustainable than anything you've ever seen in the OSR. One, she literally isn't going to die next year, right? Like, not a joke. Many of the OSR's biggest champions are a decade to 2 decades, or maybe a year to 2 years away from death, right? Like, because the vast majority of old school Renaissance rules, revival, whatever word you want to see, are old, right? She is not old. She has 5 decades of productivity in front of her. And that makes her incredibly different. So she's quite literally has the ability to have sustainable leadership within the OSR, where many of the OSR are dealing with, deficiencies on both, with just their physical form, right? Their physical form deficiencies, and once you reach a point in time, things don't get better; they all get worse, And so that is a very real challenge for the OSR, right? Like that anybody who understands it and could, step in that leadership role is literally, like, I don't need to tell you, 80-year-old leaders are not a good idea. It's failing horrible for America. We ran this experiment; it's horrible, right? There's your answer, right? So the OSR is in the same spot. The OSR is in the same spot as America. They need generational change, right? Like, I don't want anyone who is in their 70s or 80s to be president ever again. I want a generational change and say, you know what? The moment you are past retirement age, do not even think about running for president. I don't ever want to make a law. I want us as voters to become mature and say, hey, maybe being president isn't a sit on the porch hobby that you do after you retire, after the age of retirement, right? Same thing with OSR. They need generational change. Kelsey Dionne is a generational change. So what could she do so what are the opportunity now that she has this huge success? It's coming up on $1 million Kickstarter and a coalescing of acceptance and championing from OSR channels. You'll see the list below. It's an incredibly long list, and it's growing all the time. What can she do? So first of all, this is what I would do first. What are her next steps? Name the OSR, okay? Just start saying, listen, she says, my game is OSR, and that means old school rules. Knock it out. Be the first OSR person to say, I actually know what the acronym means, and I'm not having any more conversation on this. When we say OSR, we mean OSR rules. And everybody's going to be like, what gives you the right? And she's going to be, and she's not going to say it with her words. She's going to say it with her action. She's going to be like, I named it OSR rules because I'm the leader of it. Now get in line, bow down. We got places to go and things to do, right? And that has to happen first. Like, the fact that it hasn't been able to name itself in 20 years means that is one of the reasons why the OSR continues to get wrecked by D&D constantly. Next, free, okay? I think OSR, so ShadowDark RPG, put it out, collect your laurels, right? But that her next project should be free. It should not cost a single penny from anyone. It's going to be different, and this is my advice to her, and this is how she seizes the OSR and transforms it into a truly functional competitor for Dungeons & Dragons, okay? First of all, what is the product? After ShadowDark RPG, she should make the first Fizzy Dig. What is a Fizzy Dig? It is a physical digital book, and the product for, and the ShadowDark RPG, and the next RPG, the next OSR RPG that Kelsey Dionne puts out should be the first Fizzy Dig, a physical digital book, saying every book that you get, you buy the physical book, it has a QR code in it, and it takes you to this, and your purchase of the physical book includes the physical book, right? And going forward, you have the physical book, which is the ultimate representation of any tabletop role-playing game. It will never go away, and that Arcane library is dedicated to print, okay? And at the same time, going forward, the expectation for every single OSR product should be physical book, digital representation on a site, not a crap PDF, but an actual competitor to D&D Beyond, an interlinked platform where your content is digitally, and so you have your book on your shelf, you can bring it down to play on your table, but when you're at work and you're on your lunch break, you still have access to all of them, and that is the Fizzy Dig. It is the digital physical existence, and I've moved to this on D&D. I don't buy books, and I don't buy separate. I bundle, and I have a Fizzy Dig, right? So I'm already doing this on Dungeons and Dragons, but they're making it optional. They're going, oh, you can buy the physical, you can buy the digital. To me, it should be one product going forward, and anything else is unacceptable. Pretending that a PDF is an actual product needs to die immediately. It is not, right? It is GarageBand nonsense. Physical book with digital presence. That is tabletop role-playing game forward. You can get it on D&D right now. It is the best possible way to own any book, and it should be the standard going forward. And everyone should laugh at anyone who ever produces a PDF alone ever again, because it's absurd, right? And it denies the quality that D&D has already achieved. Okay? And then that book, that physical book, should be free, right? To anyone who will go and fully identify themselves and align themselves with the corporation, right? And just sign on and say, I want the book. Here is my name, number, phone number, and email, and I will pay with my identity. I will not pay one single dollar. I will tell you who I am, and I will start a communication relationship with Arcane Library, right? And realizing true payment today is just getting access to a future leader, because that's what every single tabletop role, that's what every single Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master and player is. And Kelsey Dionne has the ability to make OSR game masters and OSR players 80% as good as a D&D person, and that means they're worth thousands to any company who lines up. And the idea of collecting $50, right, is stupid. What you really need is you need to build a relationship with the future leaders of the world. That's how Kelsey Dionne takes Arcane Library and seizes the OSR King crown, okay, and takes Arcane Library to the next step and becomes the 15-year leader of OSR, right, until she hands it over to somebody else. Every word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.